and welcome. So today I want to make a quick video I guess, and I want to talk about what's going on. So probably 2-3 months ago, I guess, I made a video about making a game in OpenGL. It's a code log 0 or 1, I'm not sure yet because this is not a code log, but today I want to talk about what's going on with the game. And obviously, as you can see, this is not OpenGL, it's SDL. So yeah, I'm going to show you what I've done. And if I just make this and do an SDL game, you can see this is a pretty empty window. At least input stuff work. For example, if I hit the escape key, it quits out, and this is like the class. But anyways, leave that. So I want to talk about why I left OpenGL. I made this readme. If you actually look at the GitHub page, you can see that I made a readme. If you want to understand why I left OpenGL, you can do this. I should update the readme though, because the unknown should be now squarified. Oh, and also the idea for the game is inspired by Danny, and I recommend you check that channel out. I want to say that SDL is good. You have to start out simple and then probably go pretty complex. Now, I'm not really big brain, and I've chosen something like OpenGL and C++. I don't regret using C++ because it's a pretty amazing option, and it's the only option I have. Obviously, there are templates for Rust and other languages, but I guess C++ and C just works for me. Anyways, so I want to talk about why I left OpenGL. So I'm going to go through this quickly. It's a graphics library, a graphics API. It's not a graphics library. SGL is a graphics library. So OpenGL is a graphics API, and it's been fun learning this. OpenGL, I've learned this for probably 2-3 months. But SGL is much more better. I'm not underestimating OpenGL, but it's safe to say that OpenGL is not good for someone like me, because I'm just a beginner, and just doing something like OpenGL stuff, just doing complex math just to get some movement, it's overcomplicated. Even though you have a whole lot of control, it's still not a good way to start. I decided to actually make an RPG 2D game, a pixelated one, but I decided not to make that game probably 2 weeks ago for some reason, and it should have been in my mind probably the day I made that video, because if I started using SDL for some reason, just assume that I've used SDL from the beginning, and if I decided to make that game that I wanted, which is a pretty complex one, it would take a whole lot of time. Even till now, if I'm making this video about that game, it's not going to be over yet. My first game would be never out, and I would be developing it for a million years and still not be over. So I decided to make a simple one and go complex at that. And I'm deciding to use SGL because for no reason, and it's just a random choice. I decided to do that. There are some things that I want to talk about. For example, you have things like planning, and the other stuff is documentation. So let's talk about documentation. I don't want to lag this video out, but first of all, documentation. You have to read documentation in order to understand what is even going on. If you, for example, look at OpenGL APIs, there are a million APIs in OpenGL. The functions are, the names are weird. You don't really understand them. The parameters are weird. You don't understand them. It takes really long amount of time just to understand the functions in the API. And reading documentation is really important. So first of all, if you don't read documentation, you're never going to achieve a game. And this is for sure, because if you understand the API correctly, then it should be really simple to make a game. And I understand that this is my first time, but I should have done that before. Now the second thing is planning, or just making a list of things that you want to make. Now I actually wanted to show you one thing, so which is if I open up this thing, the game stuff, as you can see, this is what I wanted. It's a basic, I guess, to-do list, and if you make something like that, then you can achieve what you wanted more easily. Now I wanted to make to-do lists every single time I start coding the OpenGL game. Now obviously I abandoned the project. Again, I'm doing this because I have no interest in using OpenGL, not forever, but at least not for a very long time. But making a to-do list will help you a lot, and just design what you want. I mean, if you don't know what you're making, then you're going to achieve nothing. If you want to do something, for example movement, then just write what you have to do in order to get that thing working. Otherwise you're not going to get anything. So the first month of my game development went horribly wrong because I forgot to initialize glue, which is modern OpenGL, instead of using old OpenGL, which is deprecated and even not recommended by OpenGL devs itself. So yeah, that's the first mistake, not initializing glue. I thought that the abstractions were the problem, but no, the initialization was the problem. And the second stuff was not deciding what to do. Again, planning is really important. If you don't know what you want to do, then you're not going to achieve anything. And yeah, as I've said, the game is going to be not a really big game, but it should be good enough for first game. I guess this is a single scene game. You're going to move around anyways, but whatever. I'm still not sure about what's going on. If you switch to the code right now, you can, if I go into the implementation, I've written some description about what goes on. You can see that it's some description because I have to remember it. I oftentimes forget about what I'm doing, so this is like a small description that I wrote, and so far so good. I guess it's a good choice of choosing SDL instead of another graphics API. It's better that I've not chosen something like Vulkan or DirectX. It's not their mistake, it's my mistake. I have not done things correctly. But yeah, that's all I want to say. If you have any questions or any ideas for the game, make sure you put them in the comments down below. The repository link is in the description down below. And yeah, I may not make videos consistently, but this should be good for an update. And also, this is not a code logs, and I'll see you in the next one.